He don't look nothing like us. Aleister Crowley, they called him the wickedest man that ever lived. But if you study Thelema and you know who Iwas is, you're going to take another look at him. Franz Bardon don't look nothing like us, but had all Thoth secrets in his motherfucking collection of works. Right? What the fuck is he doing with Thoth information if these motherfuckers is the devil and Thoth is the one that's got to get us out of this motherfucking connection?
They got it, and they a thing called copyright. They want to make some money off our shit.
Here go the problem. One of us get a little bit of knowledge, and our egos make us want to be better than our brothers and sisters. Oh, I know more than you, you idiot. But they keep thinking us country boys is dumb because we don't have no alphabets behind our name. Whatever Big Mama say do, it's going to get done. We're going to figure out how to do it. We're going to nigger rig the fence to make sure the horses don't get out. Right? We're going to Jimmy rig the lights to make sure that when the motherfucking power go down, we still got power. We're going to dig trenches and moats to make sure that the motherfucking predators can't get to Big Mama house.
Some of us are.
I'm talking about her real boys.
I'm just saying some,
you know,
but not all.
Yeah. Well, the ones that's her real baby's going to do the work. They don't got no problem doing no work.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying. The real going to show. This shit is all about the real going to show.
So I don't be hiding. I don't give a fuck. Bring them. They can. You look. If a motherfucker bump straight, they ain't gonna have no problem out of me. As long as they stay crooked, then they gonna start having a problem. Cause I'm gonna start saying something to their ass, and they don't like it the way I say shit to their ass. Right? So when motherfuckers threatening me with voodoo spells, right? How you gonna put a spell, a conjure on the king of the conjure? Make this make sense. The motherfucker that's got all of the magical keys.
They haven't been paying attention because we done been through this. We done had like so many rounds of motherfuckers with doing black magic, candle.
Mirror.
They've been doing it and then they work and they still trying it. So it's funny now. It's amusing.
Hey, look, I got a clerk at the gate that can say, always say, return to sender. That shit don't belong here. So when the clerk say it don't belong here, it ain't getting in. Mama say it don't belong here, it ain't getting in. Big Mama say kill it, it's dead. You know, so
I did them devil's food cakes. Return to sender.
I'm gonna let somebody in to ask some questions, Rashida.
Yeah, I'm out. So I'm good. So I'm gonna leave. You continue teaching.
Well, I only got a few more minutes before I run out of juice. Let me plug this motherfucker in so I can get a couple questions in.
Plug it in. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. I don't have a full description of the blue rock from the book, but I can tell you from experience, it don't mean what it say.
Okay.
So the blue rock, that's the York Rite Blue Lodge. Remember the War of the Roses?
Absolutely, with the Yorks and the Lancasters.
Right. Well, the Yorks, Baba owned that now. He took it over through erudition and ascension. So when he say the blue rock, he's talking about the one that nobody don't know coming off the Blue Lodge, which is the York Rite. And it is the same if off the Red Lodge, it's the black rock. And no matter how you look at it, it's the stone the builders rejected. The stone the builder rejected, we know becomes the chief cornerstone, right?
Okay.
But where do it come from? When you go to Daniel and it talk about the the giant with the head of gold and the feet of iron and clay,
Right.
and being the Babylonian empires, right?
Right.
And then it say, what was the end of it? A single stone would be hewn from the mountain without the hands of a man, and will roll down the hill and strike the feet of iron and clay. Remember that?
I sure do.
And that brings the whole unholy Roman Empire down. So the iron and clay is the symbolic of America, the great melding pot. You can't meld iron with clay. But what it's talking about is the royal bloodlines mixed with the peasantry. So when we're talking about the stone the builders rejected, besides the biblical reference, where else do you find that stone being hewn from a mountain? That's the story of the Monkey King, Sun Wukong. In India, the Buddha called Sun Wukong Hanuman, which means a handy man, a man that's handy to have around, know a little bit about everything, which brings us to the riddle. A jack of all trades, master of none, is still better than a master of one. So it's saying that the handyman know a little bit of something about a little bit of everything. And then he's going to put it all together so you can see the big picture. So this is what the blue stone is. It's the blue house, the blue lodge. It's the one being trained. And this would bring an end to all of those other nefarious ventures that the lesser beings was using to try to conquer the so-called gods.
Right.
Right. So they put all of these councils and committees together so that they can use multiple individuals' brain power to usurp us. The problem is that ain't gonna work.
Oh, wow. So another question that one of the other sisters had is the knowledge of non-ether is very complicated. Could you give it to them in a more simplistic way? Like what non-ether is, how it works, and how it personified itself as flesh and blood beings in the form of our race, dark-skinned, woolly hair people?
Okay, so when we talk about the non-ether being, look at it like the body. The earth is a living organism, and the non-ether beings is the antibodies. The energy that produces the non-ether being is pure source energy. If it produced more than one of them, it produced what we call the gods, plural. If only one is produced, it's a god, right? So the non-ether beings are the ones who nature used as antibodies to clean up the mishaps of developing humanity. So when we say non-ether, you're talking about the highest spiritual expression, and it comes across as the salt of the earth in the music and the art and varying forms of entertainment. The non-ether is expressed as a right brain, abstract, non-linear reasoning that surpasses logic. The inorganic beings and the hybrids that's here operate off left brain linear logic, and is subjugated to the right brain when they synced.
So isn't that like saying that non-ether is more of the feminine principle than the masculine if it's more right brain? Because right brain.
So if you want to read about it without using the term non-ether, you would go to India and read about something called shakti energy.
Okay, I'm familiar with that by studying Hinduism.
Right. So the shakti energy is the same as the non-ether energy. If you were Egyptologist, you would read about it as Sekhmet energy.
Okay, Sekhmet means power, and it's the feminine of Sekhem.
And the man who is privy to carry the Sekhmet energy is normally going to be volatile if he don't have his self-control developed, what we call he haven't become a master yet. He haven't mastered his lower nature.
Okay, so expound on that a little bit. Like, because what you just said was that the man who carries the Sekhmet, which is the feminine energy, but don't really carry the, or I should say he's not really in tune with the sekim, the masculine energy, he said he'll self-destruct.
Right. He becomes tyrannical by nature. It's just natural for him to do it. It's just like giving a baby a nuclear briefcase wide open and don't never tell him he's gonna end the world if he push the button. And you know what the baby gonna do? Slap all the buttons.
He sure is.
So that's all that's all it is. When you feel that power, if he haven't conquered his ego, his lower nature, then he becomes subjective to tyrannical use of that higher energy, because one, it's going to drive him to destroy because the system is out of order. But if he haven't conquered his lower nature, he will never know what part of the system to fix. So he just tear everything up.
Oh yeah, he out of order. He definitely out of order.
So we call them, when you look in the human arena in history, we call them despots. We call them tyrannical leaders, psychopathic leaders, rogue kings, stuff like that is in the history when they get that energy and haven't conquered that lower nature. And so we still talking nine ether. We just using it in different schools of thought. In Egypt, Sekhmet, and India is Shakti, right? And the Shakti is activated by the Kriya, which is the fire of the root chakra, right? And it carries all the way up to the crown. Okay, so they say in the Kabbalah is from Malkuth to Kephra. In the Kabbalah, the same energy is called the Ein Sof.
Right. I know about that. I studied the Kabbalah extensively.
Right.
And
so it's the same energy.
Okay, so let's go here with it. In the Holy Tablets, the Master Teacher taught us that non-ether was conscious awareness and conscious moral judgment gases. Can you explain the difference in how that's actually perceived?
Yeah. So as you purify your ego to receive your higher consciousness, right? You got to remember, pure chaos is melanin. Melanin is sentient on its own. It don't need nobody to be sentient. But being utilized along with the other systems of the body, then the non-ether has to be the one who contain the chaos and bring the balance. The balance is where you find the righteous.
Okay.
Right? The righteousness is a side effect of purifying the lower ego and receiving that higher Shakti non-ether energy.
So basically, are you saying that non-ether would be a higher form of intelligence that allows us to be able to discipline ourselves in the spiritual realm and the physical realm to be able to be in harmony with both sides?
Well, I would more look at it like once you gain the discipline, you gain access to use non-ether energy in real time. Lacking the discipline and the self-control, then you just a Sakomao monkey band, bouncing around, never knowing what you're doing.
Go ahead.
So the discipline gives you access to the non-ether. Now you finna make a connection with source energy. When you make this connection, you have to already have the self-discipline to activate what's already in you. So now the side effect of that is once you can reason to the level to activate the non-ether, now the melanin chaos comes in, because you won't be able to balance the chaos if you don't have the discipline to receive the non-ether. And the chaos is melanin. When it come in, it's going to automatically send you on an immediate downward spiral to your lowest base nature to return and rise back up as the phoenix.
Why is that?
Because it's chaos. When it first hit, it's like a bomb. And when it hit internally, you don't know what's going on immediately, but your higher self is using the discipline you develop to reorganize what the chaos is doing, because you're using the source, you're using the prime creator to balance out total insanity. So,
why is melanin based in chaos? Can you give us the science of that?
It's not based in chaos. It's the prime creative substances in which the order came from. When we talking about melanin, we talking about in Egyptology, it's the primordial noon. right? It's the waters of creation, and the waters are running amok until you can harness them waters' energy. Water
Right,
symbolic of spirit.
right. Because I remember when Pops was teaching us about noon and basically undifferentiated matter, he was explaining how this is a state of nothingness, basically a state of existence before things actually combined and aggregated and came together to form what we see now today in the physical realm.
Yep. And so it's like if you pour a soda pop in the glass, it's going to fizz. It's not fizzing because it couldn't fizz in the bottle. It's only
Right,
fizzing because you just poured it into a cup and disturbed it.
right,
This is what the melanin is doing. So now, as you learn to control pouring the soda in the cup in order to reduce the amount of fizz so that you don't overflow the cup, this is how you, your higher self is organizing the chaos energy, and it uses your self-discipline to do it.
now when you look in like Google or different scientific books of ancient Greek mythology, they attempted to teach us that chaos was a Greek god that represented the universe when it wasn't unformed. Or excuse me, when it was unformed, when it was undifferentiated matter. How would you go about explaining that to the grassroots?
So the Greek sciences comes from the Egyptian knowledge. The metaphors that they're using in the Greek is actually a science. So when they're talking about chaos, they literally talking about the primordial noon. So imagine all good and bad things existing in a state of non-existence, bumping into each other, and there's no form of expression, and it's just random and erratic.
Right.
In order to have creation, you have to bring that under control of order. And this
Matt,
is why they say out of darkness comes the light. Light is created. If you remember in the Holy Tabs, Potts talks about the dot forming a line.
that's in chapter 1, tablet 1.
Yep.
And the line formed the wall formed the square, and so on and so forth.
He's telling you how light is created from the primordial noon in order for it to manifest visible spectrum so you can see it.
So was that this is for the people, was that a literal line, a literal wall, or what does it represent metaphorically?
Metaphorically, there's no terms in the languages that we know on the earth to explain it. And the closest thing that he can give you to explain it is the dot forming the line. Because you can use the 2D written expression to relay a 19-dimensional framework in a simplified form, but it's going to take years for the mind to unlock it.
Okay, and that's now that you say that, another question that came up in the conversation with a couple of the sisters that's in our class. You mentioned the 5D. So let's say 3D, 4D, 5D. I want you to kind of sort of in simplistic terms explain what is a dimension, and then from there, what is a third dimension, fourth dimension, and fifth dimension?
Okay, so now what we're looking at when we're talking about the dimensions is levels of frequency and how the frequency is expressed so that the mind can perceive what the frequency is telling it. So when we talk two-dimensional, we talk about that thing which is written on a flat surface. That's the 2D. When we talk three-dimensionally, we're talking about a fixed position reality that have three forms of existence: solid, liquid, and gas. When we get to the fourth dimension, this is the plane of force. This is the field of mind. And by the way, that's the dream realm, the fourth dimension.
That's in the tablets 2, chapter 7, the living soul. But go ahead, brother.
Yeah, oh man, you're right on it. So the dream realm is where we create the lower realms, 3D, 2D, like that. The dimensions is described in 3D as like different light rays. Like the light take on the spectrum and we can only see a small portion of it.
Right.
So the portion that's above our perception would be higher dimension, and those which is lower from lower perception is what we would call lower dimensions. The 3D is where all of the upper dimensions is expressed in the physical realm. This is the best way to describe 3D is 3D fixed position reality, having a God particle as a stabilizing link. So when they discovered the Higgs boson in 2012, that was discovering the wall that the line created. Because it's all condensed light rays. Everything that we think we see as a physical object on a molecular level is nothing that we think it is.
Right. That's why
Right?
they say the physical world is an illusion.
Yeah. So when you study epigenetics, you realize that wherever we are in truth, we not really here. We projected here in consciousness. So the easiest way to explain our collective unconscious, where we all linked, is like a big bag of water, and you dropped it on a pin cushion. Every little stream of water that comes out of that is one of us, but the source bag is Prime Creator.
Got you. So go ahead.
We call it a mastermind, like Napoleon Hill Mastermind Group. And the Law of Success explains it perfect, where it can be used. So the whole world of thinking people forms a egregor, which is a thought form. The egregor then takes on its own life separate from those who created it. The whole trick of the secret society is learning to take control of the egregor of humanity, which goes back to the 100 monkey effect. When you strategically place specifically powerful minded people and specific geographical locations around the world, and they can communicate telepathically, all of the ones who turn their telepathy off become subject to the will of those who could drive the egregor, which is only a thought form. It's a collection of thoughts. So to hack into it, you build up a belief system. What happens when you build up a belief system is you create a thought form with its own subsection in the egregor at large. So it's like creating a little cell of believers over here and over there. That's why religion is there. All of these years of our people praying to Jesus, Muhammad, we created the power in the egregor of those religions that make it more believable to the ones who haven't woke up to the egregor's nature yet.
And you define egregor as what?
A thought form.
That everybody has, or it's just relative to specific people?
Well, the universal mind is the egregor. They call it the universal mind, or the great mind, different stuff like that in metaphysics. But it's just the egregor. This is the collection of all of the thinking that we do on the planet, knowingly or unknowingly. The side effect of any agreement between two or more people generates an egregor. And that's how religion is kept powerful.
So how does that relate to the oversoul?
The oversoul is the encasement of the universal mind. The oversoul don't care if you murder a motherfucker or if you get murdered. It's indifferent. Not until it comes into the universal mind do we start distinguishing right from wrong and developing the polarity of opposites, which is a 3D construct. Because once you get into the 5D, murder and birth is the same thing.
Right. It's opposite ends of the same spectrum.
Right. It's just how Pop say it. The only difference is degree.
Right. Just like he was saying, like, there's no good or bad. Like you can use fire to burn somebody, or you can use fire to cook some food that's healthy and feed them to nourish their particular physical body.
So it's neither good or bad. It's what Darth Vader told Luke. I mean, not Darth Vader. Obi-Wan told Luke, the Force is neither good nor bad. It's your intent that makes it that way.
And how you use it.
Yeah. So just because I got a gun don't mean I got to shoot everybody. But
So
some people are from a different mindset. If they got a gun, they gonna shoot many motherfuckers as they can until they don't got the gun or the bullets no more.
so let's deal with that. The universal mind. Is there one mind that we're all connected with in the universe where we gain our thoughts and our perception from? Or is it one mind that gave us the ability to perceive things on our own?
As simultaneously, both of those things you just said. One produces the other. You can't have one without the other. That's like trying to have a corn without the cob. You can't have one without the other. Now you can take the corn off the cob. You can use the cob separate from the corn. But in its original form, it's going to produce both.
Got you. So a language question that I was asked, because I have been, and shout out to my elder brother Love, my mentor. He and I have been having extensive conversations about the alchemy of the language in Nuwabic. Can you kind of go in depth about how our particular language evolves us to pretty much have the frequencies that's needed, and speak a little bit about the frequencies as far as like what is needed and why?
Okay, so we in this frequency now of oppressed versus the oppressor. That's the nature of the Aquarian age up until now. It's going into the nature of the Piscean age up until now, going into the Aquarian age, is taking away those opposite or those things that we are under now, those two opposing views. It's like creating a hologram. You need a fixed idea, and then you need a mutable mind. The mutable mind and the fixed idea work in conjunction to create the holographic reality, right? So the language influences, when you know the frequencies and the tones, influences the hologram and how it manifests. So we're talking about the double slit experiment in physics, telling you the mechanics of it. If you don't focus the attention on the frequency is a wave. But once you focus the attention on it, you add the second element to lock it into a fixed position, and it becomes the particle. In the frequency of language, you have to have a grasp of language to know which frequencies facilitate higher thought and which frequencies drive you to a lesser thought. So we're trying to overcome the thoughts that allows oppression to be acceptable to anybody, anywhere on the planet. So Baba say, if a leader gonna be a leader, he gotta have a plan that's workable anywhere. Because if the plan is not workable anywhere, everywhere, it's not truly workable anywhere, right? So we talking about the thinking of leadership. So when you put a language together, like Pops in the community put Nuwapic together, you put Nuwapic together with the understanding of how the tones affects the whole cortex. Now the brain is in the reptilian brain, the old mammal brain, and the new mammal brain, the neocortex and the endocortex, or the old cortex, the old brain. When you use all three of them in conjunction, you create a different pitch and tone in which the ears become the receivers of, in order to tell the organism of the self at what level to think. So when we talk about Yeah, so we got like 800 people in here.
It's going down. Let's share that screen right there. Well, hey, so while we got you on that topic on the Conjure Wars, what was them setting up what part of the Washington Monument and the mirror, like the mirror cities too, like Memphis, Cairo, really Las Vegas like a mirror city to me. So they using them when they doing this conjuring, are they mirroring? Why are they mirror imaging both sides of the field, the left side and the right side with these
Right.
monuments and things?
Well, you got to remember they got twin cities to every prominent city in America got a twin city somewhere else in the world.
Okay.
These obelisks are symbols of patriarchy.
Okay.
It's called Cleopatra's Needle.
Okay.
Because when it was originally set up, they would build an obelisk to represent a Kemetic ruler. The women had chosen their man as the alpha out of all of the royal bloodline. They done went through all of the men and they chose one. So they erect the obelisk to show that he's potent. His phallus is strong and long.
Okay.
Right now, if you look to the left of the obelisk see the one with the cross on top of it?
Yeah.
That means that a man was conquered by the Christian church. Or one of the leaders was conquered by the Christian church. That's why it's a cross on top of it. Ain't supposed to be nothing on top of an obelisk. Okay, now if you look to the left of that, you're going to see a mammary gland as the dome of a mosque.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a breast of the woman. If you could zoom in, you're gonna see it's a cross on top of it.
Yeah.
So the woman and the man have both been subjugated by the church. The church conquered them both. So they plant their symbol on top of our symbol.
Yeah. You got that, Rod.
All right, now what we trying to do is we trying to reclaim what's rightfully ours.